holding a tablet that was written thousands of years ago and being able to read what it says. It's an amazing feeling.
Picture holding a fractured slab of clay in your hands. It is chipped, eroded, barely the size of a paperback novel. And yet, locked inside it are numbers so exact, so far ahead of their era, they rattled the bedrock of everything we thought we understood about ancient math. This isn't a fable. This isn't a myth. This is Plimpton 322, a 3,700-year-old Babylonian tablet that sat gathering dust for a century until artificial intelligence helped decipher its riddle. What it unveiled wasn't a royal proclamation or a religious prayer. It was something unsettling, a level of mathematical mastery that shouldn't have existed in that age, a signal from the past we almost missed entirely, and a stark reminder that history might not be a straight march forward, but a cycle we are only just beginning to comprehend. The year was 1900. Archaeologist Edgar Banks, the man who reportedly inspired the character of Indiana Jones, was excavating the ancient ruins of southern Iraq when he dug up a small clay tablet. Worn, broken, covered in wedge-shaped cuneiform. It looked insignificant, just another scrap from Babylon's lost days. Banks sold it. Eventually, it ended up in the archives of Columbia University, a mere footnote in a collection gifted by publisher George Arthur Plimpton. And for the next 100 years, nobody gave it a second thought. Historians listed it, mathematicians skimmed it. A few scholars remarked on its odd 4-column, 15-row grid, but the purpose was murky. No names, no legends, just numbers. Peculiar ones. In the 1940s, a handful of math historians took a harder look at this neglected relic, now tagged Plimpton 322. They started to spot a sequence. The numbers weren't arbitrary. They appeared to align with what we call Pythagorean triples, sets of 3 whole numbers that define the sides of right-angled triangles. You know the formula. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. The Pythagorean theorem. Except Pythagoras wouldn't be born for another 1,000 years after this clay was inscribed. Absorb that for a moment. This wasn't basic arithmetic. This was geometry, trigonometry, at a time when most of the globe was still learning to smelt bronze. However, the tablet had broken edges, missing lines, no instructions. Critics called it a fluke. But then, decades later, a new type of intelligence entered the picture. Jump ahead to the 2010s. Daniel Mansfield, a math professor from the University of New South Wales in Australia, was hunting for ancient math examples for a lecture. He came upon a photo of Plimpton 322. He didn't see dirt. He saw intent, order, a method. And this time he wasn't working alone. He had a modern advantage: artificial intelligence. With the aid of machine learning models trained to scan cuneiform and predict numerical trends, Mansfield and his researcher partner, Norman Wildberger, input the tablet's surviving data into a system. The AI analyzed other Babylonian records. It learned how figures were inscribed, how patterns cycled, how information was organized. Then, it filled in the gaps. It reconstructed the missing rows. And the result was startling. Not only did the figures on Plimpton 322 represent Pythagorean triples, they did so in a perfect sequence, ranging from steep to shallow angles. And here is the twist. They weren't using degrees, not sine, not cosine. They were using ratios, pure side-length relationships calculated in base 60, not our decimal system. The Babylonians, it turned out, had forged their own form of trigonometry, and, in some respects, it was more accurate than the version we use today. This wasn't just academic trivia. The calculations were so exact that even modern high school textbooks don't hit this level of precision without a digital calculator. And this was no accident. The numbers were deliberate. Each row wasn't a mistake. It was a reference, a tool, likely used by architects, surveyors, or engineers millennia ago. So now, the haunting question. How did they figure this out? Where did this wisdom originate? And what other secrets remain hidden? As Plimpton 322 made headlines, another tablet rose from obscurity, Psi 427. Unlike its mathematically complex cousin, Psi 427 looked basic. Just a clay diagram, a field chart. It was discovered in the records of an ancient legal dispute over land borders. But when researchers examined it, they noticed something deeper. This wasn't a rough drawing. It was a geometrically perfect layout. Right angles, precise proportions, spatial math. In other words, math in action. Whoever carved Psi 427 wasn't toying with theory. They were solving real-world issues, property lines, territory arguments, surveying. And guess what method they likely used to achieve it? Plimpton 322. Now the puzzle pieces fit. One tablet held the formula, the other, the application. Babylonian scribes weren't just playing with numbers. They were utilizing structured trigonometry to manage estates, uphold laws, and likely construct cities. And this was a millennium before the Greeks formalized anything remotely comparable. Think about that. While much of the world was building thatch shelters and hunting with spears, someone in Babylon etched a portable mathematical cheat sheet into a piece of clay. The takeaway? This wasn't just advanced skill. This was a system, an organized, scalable mathematical society, and we nearly overlooked it. So why is this scary? Because of what it implies about us. For centuries, we've told ourselves that human advancement moves in a straight line. Egypt led to Greece. Greece led to Rome. Rome led to the Renaissance. But this tablet, it breaks the mold. It suggests there were summits of genius that rose, thrived, and then evaporated. Without applause. Without a trace. Buried in the sand. Lost in the archives. Plimpton 322 wasn't just a calculation tool. It was a time capsule, a sleeping relic whose message only woke up when machines learned how to read it. Here is what should keep us up at night. Plimpton 322 and Psi 427 are just 2 tablets out of tens of thousands, sitting in museum storage, university drawers, and unlabeled crates. Many are undeciphered. Some are shattered. Others are dismissed as junk because they don't match the model of what ancient people ought to have known. How many more hold systems, data, wisdom, lost because nobody asked the right questions, or because no computer had been trained to see them yet? We didn't find this because we were smart. We found it because AI finally looked close enough. And even now, we don't fully grasp what we are looking at. As AI evolves, more tablets will be cracked, more mysteries excavated, and we may find that ancient civilizations weren't merely stepping stones to our modern world, but peaks we have yet to scale again. This isn't just about Babylon. It's about the narrative we tell ourselves regarding progress. What if the first trigonometry wasn't Greek? What if the first computer wasn't metal, but mud? What if the greatest intellects of 1800 BC have already spoken to us, we just haven't listened yet? A solitary fractured tablet, a field map from a legal battle, 2 artifacts, thousands of years, 1 algorithm. Together, they unlocked a reality that should shift how we view our past and how we envision our future. Because sometimes the most advanced tech doesn't come from microchips or satellites. It comes from dried clay, forgotten ruins, and minds that were light years ahead of their time. The past isn't gone. It's just waiting to be read. What do you think Plimpton 322 truly proves? Was this wisdom invented or inherited from something even older? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with anyone who still thinks ancient means primitive. Because sometimes the most frightening thing isn't what we don't know, it's what we once knew and forgot.